All right, at the end of that last video, it was Friday, and I was a little bummed because I didn't get the truck started. I didn't get it to turn over with the starter. And so I said I was going to take it to the starter guy, and I still may do that. But it is Sunday now, that same weekend. And yesterday, I was doing a little research, some reading on the World Wide Web. And I was reading about these they call these Prestolite starters. And there was a guy on a forum, and I think it was a boat forum, that said he was having a similar problem as me. The mechanism wasn't going back in. And there were guys saying, well, I think it's called a Bendix. That has to reach a certain RPM before it goes back in. And I thought, okay, maybe that's interesting. And then I thought, but I've spun it while it's out, you know, on the bench here with the battery packed, and it's still not going back in. So it probably still has an issue. But then I thought, wait a minute. If the starter spins and it's out, so that will engage the flywheel, I should be able to use this thing to turn the engine over still. If the engine starts and it's constantly still engaged with the flywheel, obviously that's a problem. But while I'm trying to get this thing to start, it should work theoretically. If the Bendix stays out and engaged with the flywheel, I should be able to use the starter to turn over the engine. So I'm gonna clean up where the starter connects to the transmission and the bell housing to make sure it's got a good ground, because that's how it grounds to the engine. I'm gonna run a wire. I tested the starter solenoid that was on the J2000 yesterday. It was bad, so I put a good one on there, and I tested it while it was on there. It's good. So let's go for this and see what happens. I'm gonna go get some cleaning supplies, get under the truck, get it cleaned up, get the starter back in, and I'll check in with you in a bit. All right, I got the starter back in, got everything cleaned off, got the starter wire here back to the starter solenoid, got a remote starter switch here hooked up. So let's see what happens here. It should bump over. Ooh, all right, we got action, baby. Okay, so that starter is working enough to turn the motor over, but I know that the wiring for the coil and all the electrical stuff is not good. Also, I still have these plugs not in. So now let me start working on that wiring. I'm probably just gonna run some temporary wires, trace that, make sure we're hot where we need to be, and then we should be able to bump this thing over and see what happens, like give it a real good go and see if it'll start. So this is going to take me a little while to run these wires, make sure we're hot wherever we need to be, but I will get back to you. All right, got an update for you all. I actually put the key in and bumped it, and it's getting power now. So that starter solenoid that was on the truck was just bad. Everything, all the power runs through that, and it was bad. So we're getting power to places now. I actually just checked. This is the hot wire that goes to the coil. I just checked that at crank, and it's got power. I just bench tested the coil, and it seems to be good. I pulled the cap off. This isn't even that bad. I mean, it's dirty in there, but it's not like terribly rusted or anything. Look at this cap. I mean, it's not even rusted. So I'm gonna blow this out, clean it up. I'm gonna clean the wires that go to the coil and to the distributor, and then we're gonna crank it and see if we got spark at the plugs. But I mean, look at this day. This is a beautiful day. It's all aligning. This is all possibly aligning to just be a beautiful day to start a 1966 Jeep J2000. This wire, the negative wire that goes from the coil to to the distributor. If you guys can see, but it's worn through here. So I'm gonna cut it back here, splice a new wire back on, and hopefully that'll help out that. All right, I did the bare minimum cleaning up of wiring. Like I said earlier, I did just turn the key to see what would happen, and it bumped it over. So I'm gonna try and just go with as much stock wiring as possible right now. I did also see some smoke. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the key to the run position, but I'm gonna use the remote starter so I can keep an eye out here. And let's just try and bump it over first, see what happens, see if I should probably grab a fire extinguisher or at least get a hose out here. Just see what happens with the wiring, and then we'll go from there. If that's good, we'll dump some fuel down the carburetor, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, leave the keys in the run position. Should also mention the fuel pump is not hooked up. So let's see what happens here. Okay. I don't see anything on fire here. Woo! I'm getting spark. Sweet. All right, let's put some fuel down this thing. It runs! It frickin' runs, dude. That thing fired right up. Holy crap, that was awesome. I pulled the battery cable right away. I didn't sound like that starter was stuck, but I'm gonna go down there and check that. But holy crap, baby, that thing just fired right up. Heck yeah, let's go. I just crawled under the truck. That Bendix on the starter pushed back. Maybe those forums were right. Maybe it really did have to hit some sort of RPM for it to push back. So I'm gonna try and start it again, see if it actually pushes out and engages. I mean, things are looking up right now, guys. That starter doesn't sound great, but it's currently working, so we'll take it. Well, it runs. This carburetor, I'm sure, is shot. I don't know if this fuel pump works, so that's the next step, but the good news is the starter seems to be mostly working. It's not the happiest thing in the world, but we know the engine runs now, so investing in a starter seems like a better idea at this point. So we'll take that. We'll take the small victories, people, and we'll keep moving forward. All right, so it will start with the key in the start position, but as soon as I let it turn back to run, it dies. So I think that's a wiring problem. And let me show you, the wiring is not great on this. I just did the bare minimum there. But you can see here, this. This is the ignition wire. It's just twisted together, so that's skeptical. There's also a splice here that goes, I'm sorry, that's the ignition wire. The other one is a starter wire. So I'm gonna unloom this. It goes back under this heater box, up here to this ballast, and then runs to the coil and stuff here. And I think at some point it runs to the key switch, obviously, so I'll have to dig that wiring diagram back out. But I'm thinking it's just some sort of wiring problem, and then once the key goes back to run, the coil's not getting power. So that's my guess. Time will tell if I'm right or not. I got the Jeep truck here in the shop now, and I think we're gonna wrap up this video here. We had some good wins in this video. We got the starter back in the truck and working for now, so we ironed that out, and we did get it to fire. So we know it runs. I think we just need to iron out some wiring and then work on that fuel system. So in the next video, I will probably rebuild the carb, or at least clean it, inspect the fuel pump, inspect the tank, and then just probably work on getting fuel into that engine, as well as investigate the wiring to the key switch and into the coil. So we had some good wins in this video. In the next one, hopefully we get it like running and on, and maybe even like put it in gear and drive it around. So until then, thanks for watching. Couple more things before I sign off. I almost forgot to update you guys. I spent $0 in this video. Just sweat labor. A total of about 3.5 hours. So I think we're at 16 now, total hours. And that was me putting the starter back in, changing the starter solenoid, messing with the wiring, and then trying to get the thing to start. So now we're fully updated. We'll see you next time.